Good day, here's the sun. In this video, I will share with you how to score your chemistry and your biology. So later on, I will show how simple but powerful my study method is in chemistry and biology. And I will take carbon compound as example to show you how it works because some of you said that you're weak in carbon compound, so that you can definitely master most of the parts in carbon compound after you leave this video later. And most importantly, after knowing my study method, you just have to apply the same method in other topics. And I guarantee that you will experience significant improvement in your chemistry and your biology. Perhaps now some of you are very panicked because it gets so close to SPM, and some of you may think that you have not been prepared well. And at this point, you don't know how to start to do your revision and where to start. So here I am to tell you that you have nothing to fear of, because by the end of this video, I will share what you can do now at the last minute before the exam. So as long as you follow my steps, you will be fine. Alright, so as usual, don't forget to smash the like button below and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's get started. So whenever a new topic comes to me, or whenever I have to do my revision on certain topic, the first step is to study on the summary page. So the summary pages for all the topics are located at the end of that topic in your textbook. So before we deep into the details, we have to study on the summary page first. Why? Because we have to look at the big picture before we deep into the details. And this step is very important. Please don't skip this step, because without looking at the big picture, you will study in a blur and you will find it hard to absorb the things. Alright, so second, after you have studied on the summary page, now we're going to deep into the details. When we deep into the details, how can we absorb the things effortlessly? Basically, you just have to summarize everything and come up with your own conclusion. So how to do this? Let me take carbon compound as example to show you. So I will show you my conclusion first, and then afterwards I will explain how I came out with my own conclusion. Alright, so I will show you my conclusion by taking this part, the chemical reaction involving hydrocarbon and non-hydrocarbon, to show you. Okay, so it is in your textbook, page 80 to 100, and this is the largest part in this topic, carbon compound. Okay, alright, so there's so many chemical reactions like combustion, substitution, addition, oxidation, hydrogenation, halogenation, esterification, so on and so forth. And I conclude everything in this simple phrase: cat super hot. So let's see how it goes like. So now, the C stands for combustion. So for combustion, no matter it is alkane, alkene, or alcohol, all of these three can undergo combustion. And the product that we have will always be CO2 plus H2O. Unless the question tells you that it is an incomplete combustion, then our product will be CO plus H2O. So the product is fixed no matter we use alkane, or alcohol for combustion. Okay? Alright, so now let's see the second term, the super. The S stands for substitution. So we use halogen for substitution. Let's see how it goes like. So do you remember what halogen is? The group 17 element like Cl2, Br2. Okay? Alright, so for the SPM syllabus, substitution is for alkane. So substitution, as what this name suggests, it means that we substitute, we replace something from the alkane. Alright, so for example, we have CH4, and then when it undergoes substitution, I add in Cl2. Okay, I add in Cl2. So I will use Cl to replace the hydrogen here. Okay, so your hydrogen will now be replaced by Cl, and the rest will just remain as hydrogen. Since we have two Cl here, right? So we use the first Cl to replace the hydrogen, and then the second Cl will be here. It will react with the hydrogen that is being replaced. For substitution reaction to occur, we need a condition, which is, the condition is here, which is we need to have UV ray for substitution to occur. And then this substitution reaction will continue to occur. This product will continue to react to replace all the hydrogen one by one until everything is Cl. Alright, so now we will go into the third terms, the hot here. Okay, so let's look at the first alphabet, H. So this H actually represents another acronym, which is hi hi, hello hello, and okay. Now this is another acronym for the addition reaction of alkene. Okay, so for this acronym, you don't even have to memorize, isn't it? You automatically remember about it, isn't it? Just hi hi, hello hello, okay, and that's it. Sounds like you're answering the phone, right? So now the first hi stands for hydrogen, and the second hi stands for hydration, and the first hello here stands for halogen, and the second hello here stands for halogen halide, and the O here stands for oxidation. So this is the whole story of the addition reaction of alkene. So for example, this is my compound. Then as what this name suggests, it is addition. That means I want to add in something into this compound. I don't want to eliminate anything. We will remain all the carbon and hydrogen that we have. So the only thing that I can change is the bond here. So I can break a bond here so that we can expand the bond like this. Now we can add in things that we want. For example, if I want to add in hydrogen, then I just add low hydrogen, so it will become ethane because there's no double bond or anything else. So if I don't want, I want to add in hydration. Add low hydration, that means you add in water, right? Like H and OH. So this is your H2O. You have OH group here. So that means this is alcohol. So that means when alkene undergoes hydration, that means we add in water, right? It will become alcohol. So if I want to change alcohol into alkene, what can I do? I just have to do it reversely. This is hydration, so this will be dehydration. That means we just take out this H2O, it will reform the double bond, and you will get back alkene. Okay, so for the second high here, we will have hydration and dehydration. Alright, so now we come back to this alkene. Okay, we have opened out the bond, and then now I want to add in halogen. For example, Cl2, right? So I just add in Cl and Cl because you got two Cl. So first Cl and second Cl. Okay, so if I don't want, I want to add in halogen halide. So halogen halide is like, for example, HCl, HBr, like this. More accurately, it's called as hydrogen halide. But in your textbook, it's also written as halogen halide. So as long as you know this refers to HCl, HBr, then that's fine. Okay, so I want to add in HCl or HBr like this. Okay, so if I don't want, lastly, we have oxidation, right? If I want to go through oxidation, basically you just have to add in two OH group like this. So this is one of the product of your oxidation. So actually you can find that here we have OH group, right? So that is actually alcohol as well. That means in order to change the alkene into alcohol, there are two reactions for this. The first reaction is the hydration, you add in the water. And the second one will be the oxidation, you add in the OH group here. So that is for addition reaction of alkene. So I just simplify it into so simple acronym like hi hi, hello hello, okay. And then now we talk about the condition. So the parts that requires the condition will be this part, the hi hi, and that's it. So lastly, we'll look at the O here. So this stands for oxidation. This is a super simple oxidation chain, which is when alkene undergo oxidation, we will get what? Just now we're talking about this, right? Oxidation here, then we will get alcohol, right? And then when alcohol undergo oxidation, then we will get carboxylic acid. Okay, so how can we memorize this oxidation chain? It's super simple. Listen, when oxidation occurs, then look at this O here. Since it undergoes oxidation, so we will look for the terms that contains O. Can you see that? So again, the same thing. When alcohol undergo oxidation, we will find for the terms that contains O, carboxylic acid. Whenever you forget about the product of the oxidation reaction in this chemical compound, then you just try to find for the terms that contains the alphabet O. If let's say during exam you forget the arrangement of this, you forget that it is from alkene to alcohol to carboxylic acid, the only thing that you have to do is to count the number of alphabets. So for alkene we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 alphabets, and for alcohol we have 7 alphabets, and for carboxylic acid we have 14 alphabets. So you just have to arrange this chain from the short terms to the long terms. So it is impossible for you to forget about this, right? And then when alcohol alcohol reacts with carboxylic acid, we will get ester. And this reaction will require concentrated sulfuric acid as catalyst. And it must be concentrated sulfuric acid. Alright, so this is the whole story. So what I actually remember before I go into the exam hall will be this. Cat super hot and hi, hello, hello, okay. And cat super hot, you will have combustion, substitution under UV ray, and hot will be hi, hello, hello, okay, and O will be oxidation. And then the reactions that requires certain condition will be this: substitution with UV ray here, and then the hi, and the esterification that I include in this oxidation chain. And then after I create this short acronym, then lastly we will have to create a linker. Linker is something that help me to link this acronym to our topic, which is carbon compound. It gives me the clue that this acronym is for carbon compound, or carbon compound will have this acronym. So the linker I create is like this. Since carbon compound, C and C, right? So our acronym will start with C as well. And this is how I relate this acronym to this topic. And that's it. So just now I talk about this in detail so that you can do your revision at the same time. Okay? But the things that I remember when I bring into the exam hall will be this only. And then also you have to know how to form the equation. And then here's a tip for me, which is whenever you don't know what is the product of a reaction for carbon compound, then you just draw it out. For example, this substitution, you just draw it out, or this addition, you just draw it out, and then you will know what is the product. And then these two reactions, which is the polymerization and this carboxylic acid reactions, I didn't include them in my acronym just now because we learned these two in details in other topic, right? Like acid base, this is the neutralization. All these three we learned it in Form 4 already, okay? So that's why I didn't include it in the acronym. Okay. And then this reaction, which is the fermentation, I also didn't include it in my acronym because for me, I'm a biology student. We learn it over and over again in biology. So that becomes common sense for biology student, right? So just in case you're not a biology student, I go through it in seconds. You have to memorize that this is the chemical formula for glucose, C6H12O6. For fermentation to occur, we have to add enzymase enzyme into the glucose, and then the product will be ethanol and carbon dioxide. Okay, so for here, I strongly suggest you to just remember the name of the reactants and the product, and that's it. Like glucose, you know that this is the formula for glucose. And then for ethanol and carbon dioxide, we will know how to find out the formula by looking at this name, right? If you don't know, then you just draw it out. Okay, ethanol, you have 2 carbon. Since it is alcohol, that means we will have OH group. We will have OH group here. And then the rest we just have to put in hydrogen. Then just count. There's 2 carbons, so C2. And how many hydrogen that stands on its own? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. H5, and then the last will be OH. So we can definitely figure out the chemical formula by looking at its name. So that's why I would suggest you to just memorize the name. And then the rest will just about to balance the equation, and that's it. So now let's try to do a 2023 trial question. So here we shows the preparation of non-hydrocarbon organic compound Q and 2 types of reaction for the changes of carbon compound Q to 2 different organic compounds. So now we have glucose and we add enzymase enzyme. So we will know that this is fermentation. Q will be ethanol. So when ethanol undergoes oxidation, do you remember just now I said when alcohol undergo oxidation, then we have to look for the terms that contains O, which is carboxylic acid. And since this is ethanol, we have 2 carbons, so this acid will be named as ethanoic acid. So now when ethanol or alcohol undergo something that needs porcelain chips, do you still remember? Hi, porcelain chips, it is dehydration. When alcohol undergoes dehydration, it will become alkene, right? Because when we want to turn alkene into alcohol, we will need to add in the water. So when we want to reversely turn the ethanol into alkene, we will need dehydration. So the condition for dehydration is porcelain chips. So we'll have alkene here. So since this is ethanol, we have 2 carbons, so this will be ethene. So we have already figured out all the things here. Wow, this is a 7-mark question. Let's see first. You have to state the meaning of non-hydrocarbon compound. Hydrocarbon means that the compound contains hydrogen and carbon only. So non-hydrocarbon, that means it contains element other than hydrogen and carbon, and that's it. So later on I will show you the answer scheme. Okay. Second, we have to name the compound PQR. Now we already named it, right? But PQR, ethene, ethanol, and ethanoic acid. We already get the answer, right? So now, draw the structural formula of compound Q. Ethanol, that means you have 2 carbon. And then it is alcohol, right? So you will have OH group. And then the rest you just fill in with hydrogen. And that's it. And now write balanced chemical equation for the formation of compound R from compound Q. That means we want the chemical equation of this part. So how to do this? Ethanol is C2. And how many H? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. H5OH. Plus, when we undergo oxidation, we will need oxidizing agent, right? So we just put it like this, okay? And then you will get ethanoic acid. So ethanoic acid is CH3COOH, right? Plus H2O. And then we have to balance the equation. We add a 2 here, like this. Okay, so the equation is already balanced. And then you got 7 marks. Alright, so I show you the answer scheme here. Okay, so this is the meaning, and then PQR, and then the structural formula, and the equation. And then the things that I want to remind you is that you have to know how to plan for the experiment like this. The dehydration, fermentation, so on and so forth. Because it is possible to be asked. For example, this is the 2023 Kelantan trial paper. You have to draw a label diagram of the operators used in this reaction. And I already show you the answer scheme here. So you just draw exactly the same thing as your textbook and then label it. Alright, so how I conclude everything into this kind of simple words. There are 7 steps, and don't worry, I will lead you step by step. So the first step is down the things that you see in the page. And second, find out the similarities between them. And third, group them together based on their similarities. For the part that has a bunch of things to memorize, use acronym. Fifth, put all the groups together and use acronym to link all the groups into a simple phrase. And sixth, create a linker to relate the acronym to the topic so that you will clearly know that this acronym is typically for this topic. And after creating a lot of acronyms, you will clearly remember that this topic will have this acronym, or this acronym is for this topic. You won't be confused. So 7, write down your conclusion in a book and then repeat the same process for every topic. That is how I came out with my own conclusion. And here's the thing, you find that actually it's not everything that can be grouped together based on their similarities. Instead, sometimes they look like a flow. Especially for biology, there are so many mechanisms, so they look like a flow. In this case, you just have to take out the keywords in the flow and link all the keywords together by using the acronym. So it's just the same method. And sometimes in biology, there will be 2 mechanisms that are opposite to each other. For example, the breathing mechanism. So you just have to create an acronym for one of the mechanism, and another one will automatically be the opposite. And here is the thing that I want to highlight, which is you have to always refer back to the summary page every now and then so that you will clearly know where you are. So that is how we deep into the details of a certain topic. So after you have come out with your own conclusion, the third thing that you have to do is to perform the Feynman technique. So to do this, you just have to explain your own conclusion to yourself. Just like how I explained my own conclusion to you just now, you just do the same thing, just that you explain it to yourself. So I've talked about this Feynman technique before in this video, which is about how to score your physics. So I put a link here, make sure you check it out afterwards. So after I study on carbon compound by using step 1, 2, 3, the fourth step is to go through the past year questions on the topic that you just learned or the topic that you just revised. For example, in this case, we just revised carbon compound, so I want to do the past year questions on carbon compound. So how can I find those questions? We have to make use of the analysis. So let me show you how it goes like. Okay, so this is how the analysis look like. So analysis will show you what are the topics that came out in the trial exam. So now since we want to do the trial question on carbon compound, so I can go to find for the Negeri Sembilan trial paper, and the bagian B question 10 of this paper will be carbon compound. Alright, so that is my study method, and this is the summary of my study method. So now we'll talk about what you can do at the last minute before the exam. So there are total 4 things that you can do at the last minute before the exam. So the first thing, take out your textbook and look at the content pages, and then circle out the topic that you are weak at, and use the analysis to find out which trial questions are on this topic, and then go through those questions and how to go through them. So you should put the answer scheme right beside the question paper when you go through those questions. So you just directly look at the answer and learn the answering technique from the answer scheme. Alright, the second step, after you go through all the topics that you are weak at, now the second thing is that you have to start to read through the whole set of the trial papers. What I said is read through. For the second step, you don't have to do it first. You just read through the trial papers. And how to read it through? The same thing, you just put the question paper beside the answer scheme and then read the question and directly look at the answer, study on the answer, and then do the same thing on every question. So you have to read through the whole set of papers. And usually one set of paper 2 would take you at most 1 hour to read through at most. Okay, so before you enter the third step, you will have to read through at least 5 sets of paper. You can separate 5 sets of papers into different days if you want. And the third step, take out another trial paper and start to do that set of trial paper. And remember to time yourself. I've talked about this before as well in almost all of my SPM videos. So after you complete the trial paper, you just take out the answer scheme to compare the answer and find out where's your mistakes. So after you complete the step 1, 2, 3, now the fourth step. For biology, you have to take out the textbook and look at the content pages. Circle the topic that didn't come out or rarely come out in the trial exam. So you just circle those topics and go through each of them using your textbook. So regardless of what, remember to take good care of your health to prevent falling sick during your exam. Right, so don't forget to smash the like button below and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm The Sun. Have a nice day.